We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. Has Bitcoin turned? Yes. I'll prove it to you. Recent bottom and recent price action looks like the same bottom you had in March of 2020 off, cough, cold, and, sore throat, right? Bitcoin should be done. The low should be in. Stonks, I don't know. Stonks could be all over the place. The dollar, done, right? The gold rally, the dollar decline, Bitcoin next. Matter of fact, I think Bitcoin, even though, altcoins are deeply oversold, so no hate for altcoins, but I don't know, man. I see a case where you could just wake up and Bitcoin could just smoke higher, particularly if any of these dummies in Washington stop laughing about art of the deal and get Bitcoin moving, like change the subject, or just get the tariff conversation to calm down, because that's what they need. They need to get this tariff conversation behind them. Now, are they going to lean all over the Chinese? Yeah, they should have done that. They should have done that to begin with. Now your attention can turn to today's long bond auction. Long bonds are a metric of credibility in the United States. Luckily, strangely, they had robust demand for the 10-year note yesterday. Today, they're doing $32 billion in long bonds. I continue to believe it's like boring in a way, but it's like Bitcoin, because if you're swinging equities, like an 8% rally in S&P yesterday, 10%, whatever it is, NASDAQ was like 11%. You're adding $3.5 trillion in one day, right? There's a $3.5 trillion change, and somebody is telling me that Bitcoin can't go up $500 billion in market cap. You're out of your mind. You're out of mind. Matter of fact, that can not only happen, that can happen like on a line. On a line. Right. And everyone's saying, oh, it can't happen. The orange man manipulated the market. The orange man got scared out of tariffs because of the bond market. All that could have been true. All that could have been true. I mean, they pushed it until they broke something and then they pulled it back. But all these problems that are in the bond market, all these problems that exist with liquidity in private equity and the need for tokenized assets, they're all still there. They're also there. I mean, what? S&P goes up 8% and every problem we had is gone? No. Now, every problem we have, the good news about it is, I mean, you see Dalio and all these guys trotting out the end of the world. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I refuse to buy into this idea that everything in legacy has to go to zero to vent the pressure in the system. What you need to vent the pressure in the system is a monster rally in crypto, starting with a monster rally in Bitcoin, which I continue to believe, as I said, is going to catch everybody off guard and is just going to go. I mean, ask yourself this question. By the time Bitcoin Vegas happens at the end of March, where is Bitcoin going to be? These are important questions, right? Important questions, right? And even if Bitcoin does stall, you could have alts pick up after Bitcoin gets back to like 98K. I mean, Bitcoin literally could lead everything out of the hole. And if equities have their problems and bond market has its problems, who cares? This is why we have Bitcoin, period. Not a long-winded spiel. SGSG, welcome. Oh no, crypto scam. Miguel, good morning. Jacob, Taz Pinball, Shelly Farmer Alien, welcome. Vanessa, MJ, Tango, Rock Fender, what's up? Could this be the turnaround? Dude, it has to be. It has to be. What is the rationale for 70-something K Bitcoin? What is the rationale for everybody talking about Michael Saylor getting liquidated? By the way, as soon as you start seeing that, you just turn around and buy. You just pick up the phone, up the green button, boop, that's it, done. Log off. As soon as you start seeing that, that's it. It's going up because, the market can't resist a disaster, POR. They love it. It's like, oh, stocks are going to blow up. Bonds are going to blow up. Ray Dalio has a 500-page essay about why everything's going to blow up. Okay. What's going to blow up it is not Bitcoin, right? Matter of fact, people may look at you and be like, yeah, you're a legend for buying Bitcoin. The art of the deal is to get Bitcoin sub 80. I don't even think you see Bitcoin sub 80 anymore unless they completely smack equities. And even if they do smack equities, okay, whatever. They got to do this 30-year bond auction today. He's not getting me off Bitcoin. You couldn't get me off Bitcoin when this thing looked like total garbage for the last 3 days to the point where it was painful. I mean, I will tip my hat to the Orange Man in this respect. I mean, they pushed this thing. They pushed it to where everything was going to break beyond what they could expect. And things may still break, by the way. Things may still break. I just think the way the problem gets vented is through the Fed putting high-powered money in the system and Bitcoin going higher, because you can't have the kind of rally that you had yesterday. I mean, yeah, everyone was short and everyone was ready for an up move, or at least the market was primed for an up move because of how short everybody was. But again, why are we quitting crypto? Why are we quitting AI? I mean, if there isn't an argument for DeFi and tokenized assets after they scared everybody with, all this hedge fund blow up thing that was happening, and that still may be happening. You got the long bond auction today. Supposedly the long bond is what, the 30-year bond is where this hedge fund pickle is at, called the basis trade. So Uncle Sugar was able to sell 10-year notes yesterday. Hopefully Uncle Sugar is able to sell long bonds without a problem. And I don't care either way, because the dollar is done. We'll go over that. The dollar is just completely done. Completely done. It's below the 200-week moving average. I could put the dollar chart up and just log off and go, go pick up my dry cleaning and get a ham on rye, because there's nothing else. It's one chart market update. Okay, news. Let's go. Okay, U.S. inflation falls to 2.4%. Everyone's obsessed with this number. My attitude is, who cares? I mean, yeah, inflation's coming down because unemployment is going up. And, when you who is paying $25 for steak? Who pays $25 for a ribeye steak at the grocery store? People who are levered long Nvidia and all these stocks. It's like a wealth engine, and they just rug that. And I heard yesterday that the Orange Man taking, by the way, I mean that in a complimentary way, by the way. I'm a big fan. The Orange Man takes the stock market out to the woodshed. His popularity numbers went up. So you take the equity market out to the woodshed, all of a sudden, inflation drops. You drop regulation, inflation drops. And then 2 years from now, or not even that, 6 months from now, after they get done figuring out that all of this like fraud in the government, they're going to figure out that inflation was manipulated higher on purpose, possibly by Powell and definitely by the last administration. Because as soon as you stop being stupid, inflation goes to 0. Or inflation goes to 2%, which is great because Powell just gave up on the 2% inflation target. What a dummy. Okay, here's Doomberg. Consumer prices fall. Yeah. Bond chaos. Jamie Dimon. Oh, I love this. Bond chaos. Deal Mania and Jamie Dimon inside the reversal. Yeah, what are we talking to Jamie Dimon about? Hey, Jamie, open up your books and then talk to me. We got that fake earnings report coming out on Friday. All I want to do is every time I see anyone's face, just buy Bitcoin. I even tweeted with Howard Lutnick this morning. Dude, shut up and get the strategic reserve going. Shut up and get the sovereign wealth fund going, because now it's primed. Now, if you really wanted to get the crypto bros on your side, they come out with any positive news on Bitcoin, it's just gone. Okay, so zero hedge. Goldman had said, exhausted Goldman traders warn any positive headline are met with explosive reactions, because literally in legacy, everyone sold out, everyone was short, and fear greed yesterday in stocks was like 3. No one was bullish stocks. Everyone thought it was going to zero. Kramer was talking about Black Monday. Just forget about it. I mean, I don't know if that's going to get volatile and go back down again, but still, come on. You know what I'm saying? When they price in a recession, when they price in the end of the world, okay, when everyone thinks the same thing, something else happens. When everyone thinks the same thing, something else happens, and that's the market update. We'll see you tomorrow. No, kidding. I wish I could tell you Trump outsmarted the world, but that's not what happened. Japan, China, and others were mass dumping our bonds, which people were losing confidence in the American company. Oh, were you short yesterday? Boo-hoo. Shut up. Yeah, of course the bond market was a disaster, right? You can't have like, 3 standard deviation moves. You can't have big moves in legacy like you have in crypto and have something not break. So yeah, people were dumping treasuries and hedge funds were blowing up. Okay, whatever. The orange man got on Twitter and accidentally outsmarted everybody. He really was flying by the seat of his pants, right? So they pushed it until they couldn't push it anymore. And then they got on Twitter and smoked everybody and changed the conversation to market manipulation or whatever conversation they changed it to. Who cares? Buy Bitcoin. Like, look at this. It's like they're kind of in love with themselves, right? In a way, right? Oh, it's the art of the deal. Okay. You got kind of lucky. Right? The art of war. It's called taking a gamble and flying by the seat of your pants. And that's what he's doing. He is leaning on people, right? Is it the art of war? Well, it's more like Goodfellas or, go watch a movie about Al Capone or, the Atlantic City Mafia, something like that, the Italian mob, the Godfather. That's really what's happening. He's just leaning on people. Chinese yuan, crash. Good luck stopping this, by the way. There's our exports are getting cheaper. Okay. Wait until this is front page news and they can't stop this. They're not going to be able to stop this. The Chinese are going to be on the phone with the Fed begging them to cut rates. That's the only way to stop this. It will not. Chinese can't raise rates. So when does this stop? Like psychologically, we could have broken that whole machine over there. Like they may have to make a deal to stop this going down. It's the only thing that's going to make them. Communists will like, oh, well, we don't care. Well, okay, bro. Mr. Market will make you care. I don't know if they can halt trading in that or not. That's not going to stop at all. Okay, Chinese product sellers on Amazon. Wah. Okay. I don't know if I said this already, but Scott Besson and I sat with the president while he wrote this most extraordinary truth post. Howard, shut up and get the Bitcoin strategic reserve going, please. Don't be a panicking, says the orange man amid tariff tensions. Again, the comedy is endless. I mean, he bluffed everybody. He just took everybody to the brink. He's like, well, I guess this might blow up. So we might want to do something about this. I mean, I think it was kind of like that simple. Then he comes out and goes, well, it was my plan all along. No, it definitely wasn't his plan all along. But it's amazing how he reversed it with Twitter or Truth. And now everyone's left going, well, I want to buy gold. The dollar is done. S&P may be done going down. I'm not particularly interested in treasuries. And the only way out of a debt crisis is to devalue the currency, which is happening right now. That's it. It's like, oh, let's make this big contrived stunt to get people wanting our bonds. No, dude, just get the dollar lower, which is what's happening. Gold up, dollar down. Okay? That's it. And we have Orange Man says the big, beautiful bill is coming. Okay? Hopefully, that's tax relief and maybe even the strategic reserve. Who knows? Rapid response up only. This looks like the cough, cold, and flu bottom. I have the historical data numbers. Everybody was panicking. The art of the deal is Donald Trump's negotiating strategy. Start with an extreme position. Be willing to walk away if the deal doesn't meet your standards. Okay. Yeah. I mean, everybody's like, oh, art of the deal, art of the deal. I'm like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin. It's not the art of the deal. It is for Twitter, but it's dollar lower and Bitcoin up, right? And I think ETH too. Why not? If you want to understand what the orange man is doing, you need to understand anchoring. In the art of the deal, he discusses anchoring as a negotiating tactic, though he doesn't label it specifically. Guys, love you, mean it. Let's get Bitcoin higher, please. Now would be a really good time. If you did the strategic reserve or you did anything, sovereign wealth fund, even got on the tape and jawboned it higher. Oh, one of the largest malls in the United States goes boop. Banks are holding this. Like banks have got something. They have got something big on their balance sheet. And when people find out what it is, the dollar's going lower, and they may have already figured it out. People may be looking at this in the currency market going, wait a minute, bonds all over the place, orange man on truth, manipulating the market, sell dollars. Just sell. El Salvador bought the dip. Dude, how could you not? How could you not? Right? Strategy gains 25% as hedge funds squeeze. They're going to blow these guys out of this trade. Bitcoin hits 120, man. The hedge funds, they're going to get carried out on this. First, they got carried out on long Magnificent 7. Now they're going to get carried out on MicroStrategy. If they got to his liquidation point and he's not liquidated, he's just going to be more convicted, more bold. And if he gets a stable equity market, he's just going to borrow more money. Or he's just going to sit there and let Bitcoin go to 120 and laugh in everyone's face. Me and him. Look at this. So we got a new government in Germany, right? Everything's cool. We're going to stop being crazy banana pants, picking people up off the street for saying whatever they're saying. Wrong. Germany's coalition government wants to strengthen democracy by getting rid of it, because they seem to involve curbing free speech and even banning certain politicians from running for office. That seems to be catching, spreading everywhere. Meanwhile, antivirus, 2 million market cap. Look at this. Look at this panic the other day. Look at this volume. 1 million market cap. Oh, God, get me out. Wrong. You know what I'm saying? We need like a fortress. We need? This. Sometimes I wish I had like, real money. We need like a secret antivirus storefront in cities in Europe. Like it's a secret location. Like all you can see is this little like glow in the dark sign that says anti, right? But you can go in there and get your eSIM card, and it's like a little mini Apple store for antivirus. You're not going to be able to say anything over there unless they can't see you. And then they're going to get a CBDC going, and it's all in the news. They're doing it in plain sight. Alex Jones talks about this. They're not hiding anything. They're just telling you what they're doing. Meanwhile, we're selling a consumable privacy solution at a 2 million market cap. We're just like dumping it, like, oh, get this away from me. They just minted $1 billion Tether. Wow, what do you know? They did a 10-year auction, and then they put the bonds out there that are collateral, and then everybody pours money into crypto. Yeah, they just put in $1 billion. For the last 4 decades, Wall Street has grown wealthier and mainstream has gotten hosed. So if they don't care about stocks, they don't. They said that. They don't care about stocks. So what are you going to invest in if they don't care about stocks? Like if they're not handing out sugar anymore, what is there to invest in? I'll just leave that up to you. Okay, Elon is back on the tape. Dead people, babies, whatever, are getting unemployment. It's all over, like the New York Post. That's great. All kinds of fraud to government. Notice how they've been able to get Elon off the main headline and get him back where people aren't like blowing up his dealerships. Pro Bitcoin Paul Atkins confirmed as the SEC chair. An NFT influencer. Met him once. Don't disagree, bro. Don't disagree. All you need is some talk about the strategic reserve, and this thing is just going to go full stupid on the upside. Full stupid. ECB exec renews push for digital euro to counter U.S. stablecoin growth. You know, I'm going to say something about these sovereigns. They hate you. They hate you for breathing. There's an old Star Trek movie where a robot refers to human being as carbon units. They think you're a carbon unit and they don't like carbon. They don't like you. Bitcoin, antivirus. Okay. Now let's talk about TA. So TA has been pretty dry lately. So NASDAQ, this is QQQ, the ETF. So QQQ filled all of these gaps down. And you can argue that this whole correction was A, B, C. Done. It's that simple, right? You could make that argument. There isn't a whole lot of DeMark work. I think the best DeMark work might have been, I don't even know. It's just a weird world where there wasn't this like glaring, obvious buy signal. There just wasn't. Now, when gaps get filled, okay, normally they'll come off and then we'll see. Somebody has to be willing to pay higher prices. I think it's the same thing in S&P. Now, S&P, wow. Okay, this is SPY. So you got the 13 bottom. There was some negative DeMark stuff here. It's gone now because the DeMark count can reset depending on market conditions. You could make an argument that this was like an epic blow off bottom. Like this was the blow off bottom number. And they took it like 533 was the number, 5,300 in the S&P. And they had to take it down to like, 480 to make sure everyone understood. Like, it's like, look at this chart. Okay. 2 years, everyone in, everyone out, everyone back in again. I don't know. I mean, they still got this gap up here that they got to get filled. And who knows if they're going to do it. Now, I will say this. You do not want to see a failed rally in equities. You do not want to see, excuse me, this thing turning around and going back down 8%. That would be the absolute worst thing in the whole world. Okay, so here's what's funny. There wasn't a whole lot going on in Bitcoin either. Like you have a 13 bottom. You have this song and dance, this like weird double bottom. They got the Arthur Hayes' target. Everyone's sold. Everyone's out. Boom. Back inside the range. So you can look at the range one of two ways. The range is either 78 to 88, or the range is 78 to 102. And if you get above 89, you're going to 102. Who was talking about 102? Absolutely nobody. Absolutely nobody. And we talked about this yesterday, right? That like the only signal that was like, hey, was on the Bitcoin 90-minute chart. You have to like scrape in the dirt to get a technical signal. But this 13 and 9 bottom, that was it, man. Boom. Even here, they made you, they just put you through pain, even though it was a bottom signal. Very, very hard to trade. Because there was, you had it in ETH. And what's really funny about the 90-minute chart of ETH right now is that they did a little correction. They're doing another 9 bottom. Fascinating. I don't want to see a grotesque failed rally in ETH. I don't want to see ETH down like 7% today. I would prefer that not to happen. I don't think this looks that bad. Now, the one chart market update is this is the dollar. Okay. And this is kaput, done, over. This is over. Right? This is the dollar on a weekly chart. This is the 200-week moving average back in June of 2020. Fed prints 14T. Dollar didn't crash, but it didn't, it took a year to get back above the 200-week moving average. And you haven't spent material time below the 200-week moving average since 2002, right? 2002, down, can't hold, boom. I don't think this is any different. Right? I know this is a mess, right? This, in my mind, is the same as this, right? They are going to blow through this 200-week moving average and stay there. Because what exactly is the case for our currency at this point? There isn't any, right? We're running our currency off Truth Social. And the only way out of a debt crisis really is to devalue the currency, and the administration wants it. They want it. They don't want the dollar to go to zero, but they want the currency down so our goods are more competitive. And guess what? The market seems willing to oblige them. And we're like, no one wants Bitcoin at 81K. You're going to be kidding me. It's Christmas, right? If you look at gold, okay, gold's up again today. Okay, and I'm not getting the premium zone because I may have just screwed up my looks algo, right? But, you know, money flow in gold is no longer ridiculous. Look at them run the stops in silver below the 200-day moving average. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the stuff that you would want to buy is down. Right? Now, a lot of times when we go to PowerPoint, right, it's like, I don't know, it's some pretty simple stuff. I mean, it's not, you know, it's like historical trivia, right? Okay. So one key thing to remember is they have a bond auction today. Like the 10-year note, they did $39 billion worth of 10-year note. Sources reported strong demand. Okay. So, whoops, I got to share this. So $39 billion worth of 10-year notes, according to Grok, you know, good demand. Yes, there is a bond auction today. The long bond is the 30-year bond, $22 billion. Okay. $22 billion. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Now, that has to go good. And if it doesn't go good, all these problems that were there yesterday are still going to be there. And I don't know if they're going to have to sell S&P, but I swear to God, I feel like this thing's just going to detach and decouple. Now, ironically, when Bitcoin is up 8% on the 9th day of the month, so weird that this actually produced anything. Bitcoin's normally down 3 days later, right? You can have some of the down moves are big. Okay, great. You're going to get another dip in Bitcoin. And if you do, I would take advantage of it because, okay, so NASDAQ up 8% in one day with Bitcoin up 8% in one day, right? Both of them up more than 8%. When did that ever happen? That was March 13th, 2020. Okay. So in that case, you had a rally in stonks that failed. March 13th was a failed rally in stonks. March 13th was the bottom in Bitcoin because they had already blown it out. They already blew it out, just like they already blew out ETH. So what are we selling? Like, oh, they want to dip it? Oh, how nice. Right? I can definitely see stocks going down or doing nothing and Bitcoin going up. And if you get one or two of those days put together in a row, forget about it. Forget about it. I mean, you'd have the entire planet on the bid in Bitcoin sub 80 at this point, especially with this kind of stuff going on. I mean, you realize that from this COVID bottom, from the cough, cold, and flu bottom, you know, you had Bitcoin like 70% higher in like 2 months. You don't think Bitcoin could go 70% higher from here when they're adding like $3 trillion to market cap in equities? 3 trillion up, 3 trillion down, 3 trillion up, 3 trillion down. Okay, this is something I trotted out several days ago, too early. Okay, when tariff talk stops, Bitcoin goes up. This is the peak in the number of tariff headlines from 2017, the last time we were doing all this nonsense, right? Bitcoin can double if they shut up about tariffs. That's what this means. Like, you know, Bitcoin's at 2.9K, tariff headlines fall, Bitcoin's at 4.7. February 2017, Bitcoin at 931. They shut up about tariffs. Bitcoin goes to 2.7K. So the blue line is tariff headlines. High tariff headlines, low Bitcoin. Less tariff headlines, higher Bitcoin. Do what you have to do and shut up. And that was Bitcoin in 2017, but you don't want to see that because everyone thinks I'm out of my mind. Everyone thinks I'm out of my mind. I think a decoupling between stocks and Bitcoin is imminent, right? I think you got to try. You got to try to hang on an ETH and hope, somebody thinks about decentralized finance after this bond auction. We need tokenized assets. Where's tokenized assets this morning? If you're going to tell me tokenized, like RWA is down today, I'm going to scream. They sold the uptick in Ondo. That's unbelievable. You got entire sectors of legacy completely illiquid. Ohm held pretty good at the 38% retracement. Can't say there's anything really wrong there. Look, no one wants to hear about it today because, first it's like, well, the orange man is blowing up the whole world. He's an idiot. I'm sorry I voted for him. Then the orange man's a genius. Oh my God. Can you believe this tweet? Everyone, the Chinese are reading The Art of the Deal. Oh my God. It's all wrong. The only way out of a debt crisis is to devalue the currency, period. They got to get the dollar lower. Right now, that's happening. If this bond auction is not so good, wow, right? Our credibility is still in question, and it should be because we owe $37 trillion. And we're trying to get out of it with the president being an absolute wild man. Like dollar, fiat currencies, Europe, 1984, right? There's only one thing. It's like gold and Bitcoin. And everyone keeps buying gold because there is a problem with physical gold out there. I get it, but that's starting to get annoying. It's starting to get annoying that, everyone's like, oh my God, sell Bitcoin. Stop it. Just stop it. Right. And if you got to move capital, even if you look at the crypto ecosystems like Aave, right? Like they can't sell fast enough. And I think it's because people in crypto are so freaking wounded, right? They're so freaking wounded that any rally, they just want to get out to stop the pain. I don't blame them. I don't. I'm not hating on anybody, but there's absolutely no way that you should be selling Aave off the uptick on something like this. They're going to need these systems. They're going to need them. And I guess we can wait for them to figure it out. In the meantime, just go ballistic bullish Bitcoin because it's the only thing out there that makes sense to me. It's the only thing that makes sense. S&P may not make sense. You could have a cough, cold, and flu repeat because all these guys who are trapped in private equity, like all these guys who are trapped may just use the 8% rally as a way to hedge because they're so scared. You don't know that. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in stocks. I mean, bullish sentiment in stocks was 0 yesterday, so I don't think that's going to correct itself in one day. But what is the case again to sell? I don't even know what the case to sell Bitcoin was to begin with, other than the fact that there was a disappointment trade. There was a disappointment trade about the strategic reserve at the top. Okay, they dropped it 20%. It's a normal correction. How many stock guys like Warren Buffett and Peter Lynch, how many guys have you seen on the tape the last 3 days going, listen, 20% corrections, that's natural. You had 40% corrections in 2017. I think a banana singularity is coming in Bitcoin around Easter. I don't think they're going to be able to hold this thing down. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they get on the tape about the strategic reserve. Cynthia Loomis should be on the tape. Michael Saylor should be. They're all going to get on the tape. They've all got to change the subject. They got to get off this tariff thing. They got to get the tariff thing off the headlines. Negotiate with the Chinese quietly. Get off the tape. Notice they brought Elon back, and they got to start talking about Bitcoin, stable coins, something. You would think they'd be able to figure this out because they are social media geniuses after all. Okay, people, that's the market update for today. We will see you tomorrow.